Greetings, blessed beings. Welcome back to Shelter in the Storm with A Course in Miracles, Lesson 60. Okay, we're up to reading more of part 4 of chapter 4. This need not be. I'll just reread a small section of where we were yesterday, just for a bit of context. The glass in which the ego seeks to see its face is dark indeed. How can it maintain the trick of its existence except with mirrors? But where you look to find yourself is up to you. I have said that you cannot change your mind by changing your behavior. But I have also said, and many times, that you can change your mind. When your mood tells you that you have chosen wrongly, and this is so whenever you are not joyous, then know this need not be. In every case you have thought wrongly about some brother God created, and are perceiving images your ego makes in a darkened glass. Think honestly what you have thought that God would not have thought, and what you have not thought that God would have you think. Search sincerely for what you have done and left undone accordingly, and then change your mind to think with God's. This may seem hard to do, but it is much easier than trying to think against it. Your mind is one with God's. Denying this and thinking otherwise has held your ego together, but has literally split your mind. As a loving brother, I am deeply concerned with your mind, and urge you to follow my example as you look at yourself and at your brother, and see in both the glorious creations of a glorious Father. When you are sad, know this need not be. Depression comes from a sense of being deprived of something you want and do not have. Remember that you are deprived of nothing except by your own decisions, and then decide otherwise. When you are anxious, realize that anxiety comes from the capriciousness of the ego, and know this need not be. You can be as vigilant against the ego's dictates as for them. When you feel guilty, remember that the ego has indeed violated the laws of God, but you have not. Leave the sins of the ego to me. That is what atonement is for. But until you change your mind about those whom your ego has hurt, the atonement cannot release you. While you feel guilty, your ego is in command, because only the ego can experience guilt. This need not be. Watch your mind for the temptations of the ego, and do not be deceived by it. It offers you nothing. When you have given up this voluntary dispiriting, you will see how your mind can focus and rise above fatigue and heal. Yet you are not sufficiently vigilant against the demands of the ego to disengage yourself. This need not be. The habit of engaging with God and His creations is easily made if you actively refuse to let your mind slip away. The problem is not one of concentration. It is the belief that no one, including yourself, is worth consistent effort. Side with me consistently against this deception, and do not permit this shabby belief to pull you back. The disheartened are useless to themselves and to me, but only the ego can be disheartened. Okay, that's all for our text today. Moving along with lesson number 60. I apologise if you can hear my dogs. We've got big dogs and they're just outside that window. It's almost dinner time for them. In lesson 60, we'll be reviewing the ideas of lesson 46 to 50. Excuse me, my hair is just flying everywhere and tickling my face. 46. God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because he has never condemned. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is the reflection of God's love on earth. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me and raise me up to him. 47. God is the strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I begin to see, I recognize his reflection on earth. I forgive all things, because I see the stirring of his strength in me, and I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. 48. There is nothing to fear. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world that I have forgiven and that has forgiven me? 49. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There is not a moment in which his voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I am walking steadily on toward truth. There is nowhere else to go, because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to his Son. Number 50. I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by his love. As I open my eyes, his love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, his love reminds me that his Son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision he has given me, I remember that I am his son. So that's lesson 60. And now, in a year of forgiveness, let us see what Jesus has commented on today. Lesson 60, Review 1, Part 10. You are blessed beings, indeed. I am that one you know as Jesus. As you walk along this path, you will reach stumbling blocks. These are issues assigned to you to deal with in this incarnation. Now, many of you are dealing with multiple lifetimes of issues that have been ignored or that you could not master, and they have appeared in this incarnation. Many of you are having difficulty with this particular time in this particular time of your life, because before you came into this incarnation, you decided you wanted to deal with as many things as possible, to clear as much as possible, for various reasons that we are not going to go into at this time. We want you to know that when you stumble on one of these bumps in the road, fall over, get back up, brush yourself off, and then look at that tricky thing you just fell over. We do not want you to be sad or mad at yourself. We do not want you to say, I am a bad A Course in Miracles student. I'm a bad student of A Course in Miracles because I could not manage that particular situation with my mother, my father, my body, my food, my addictions, or my resentments. Whatever you did not manage today or yesterday, forgive yourself and say, that is why I am here. I don't know how to handle that situation. I don't know how to do that. Why would I attack a small child for misspelling a word? Why would I attack a child for falling over when it's learning to walk? I would not do those things. So I will not do those things to myself as I learn to recognize that which is unloving in me. If it is unloving and it is in my mind, then it is not of God. It is not going to stay. Therefore, I must see it. I must trip over it to recognize that it is not loving. That it can take me... Let me say that again. I must trip over it to recognize that it is not loving, that it can take me down into sadness and suffering, and that means that it's not me, not the real me, not the true me that is at home with God and aligned with love. This thing that I just encountered is not actually me. I'm not going to own it in that sense. I have allowed it to live inside my consciousness and manifest in my life, but it is not the true me, and so I will not beat myself up. I will not hate myself because of something I have done or a situation I was not able to handle well. I am going to look at it with forgiving eyes and say, there is a thing that I need to have a look at. It is not loving, and it does not extend love. It does not add to the world in a positive way. So it is not real in that sense. It does not belong here. It does not belong in my holy mind. Doing this will help you to stop beating yourselves up when you make errors. Errors are good things, because they show you where you are unstable or unable to handle something. That means you need to look at it, bring it up into the light, and offer it up for healing. Also, look where you contribute to maintaining that belief. This is your side of the street, so to speak. You bring it up into the light. You say, I'm very frightened of this thing, or I hate this thing, but I don't want that unloving concept in my mind. I'm going to ask for help to have it removed from my mind, and I'm going to look at where I reinforce it on a daily basis. That is the process you use to weaken a belief. You must see where you reinforce it, the behaviors, the words, deeds or thoughts you employ on a regular basis that keep that belief alive. Once you see it, then you can use your free will to choose other thoughts, words, and behaviors. That belief loosens the power you add to it. Then it can be lifted up from your consciousness because you, literally, no longer want it. You stop strengthening it. I am that one you know as Jesus, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thank you, dearest beings. Namaste.